Welcome to the channel. Today, working on something a little different. This is 60s Silvertone 1485, I believe. Somewhere on here is a number. Yes, 1485. So I'll get you in here. We can take a look at this thing together. It's really a cool looking amp. Kind of has a, it definitely has that neat 60s vibe. Kind of looks like it belongs in like one of those like sci-fi movies from the 60s where you'd have some, aliens or somebody standing around in like a laboratory working with some machinery or some goofy doodads and combobulators. And it's got decades worth of gunk and grime on it here. So I'll try and get this all cleaned up, but don't want to remove too much of the patina, but most of the gunk is not patina so much as it's just gunk. Like, I don't even want to touch this thing. Even came with some complimentary mold up here, so that's nice. That'll be good for my lungs anyway. You can see the knobs are a little grimy, but it doesn't look like there's much for corrosion, so maybe they'll clean up really nice. The silk screen all looks good, so that's a plus. It's even got the little rubber tips still on the switches, and that one's a little stiff, but they still move. Let's take a look at the back of this thing. Still got the old 2-prong kill you cord. And what do we got going on back here? Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 preamp tubes. And looks like there's one up there. So we got 6 preamp tubes of some sort. I'm guessing that there's the power transformer. So full disclosure, I don't know a farting thing about these Silvertone amps. But that's okay, because I did find the schematic for it. So hopefully that's accurate. And it looks like it's got 2 output transformers, and each one runs a pair of tubes. So that's a handy piece of information to know, because you can see we do have a transformer there and one back here. So that's interesting. Someone put these 2 jacks on here. From all the photos I've seen, it looks like there's normally there would have been a cord coming out of here that goes into the speaker. It's like a 6 by 10, maybe probably a 6 by 10 cabinet. And looks like we got 4 6L6s. So overall, not in terrible condition. It's even got a funky reverb thing back there. You can see the spring hanging down. That's going to be interesting. Bottom appears to be in good shape. It's missing 2 of the 4 mounting screws. That's no big deal. We can find some of those. Well, we'll crack this thing open and take a look at the inside of it. With the chassis removed now, I can see what is being beneath this behemoth Titanic of a chassis here. And everything appears to be in okay condition. It was a little tricky to get it out. This aluminum panel gets you hung up a little bit on the top of the cabinet. There is bowed down pretty good, and so trying to slide the chassis out was a little bit of a task. And I didn't want to lift up too much on the center here for fear that I might break this the rest of the way off. That good quality joint there on that particle board, and it doesn't even have like a cleat or anything in here. And I don't think dovetailing this is an option. And you can see it's just like a straight glue joint. It's amazing those even held up even when they were brand new, especially as heavy as that thing is. And we got some foil tape and some little T-nuts for the handle up there. But not much to the cabinet. Not much at all. I've seen Amazon boxes with more structural integrity than that cabinet. But that's okay. Let's see what we have going on here. So you can see we got our 2 output transformers here. And what looks like a, I guess that's a 12AX7. That's what it says there on the chassis. And these tone controls and everything are going to need to be cleaned up. I'll bet they're really scratchy pots. Back scratchy. And we have, looks like 3 12AX7s in the center here, and then some 6FQ7s. And then a multi-can capacitor setup. And nice rusty transformer. I don't see any numbers on it, any EIA manufacturer numbers. I'm not quite sure what that is. DD. I have no idea what that is. I'll have to look that up. And I don't see anything on these output transformers either. So if you know who manufactured these, leave a comment down below. And surprisingly, it's, you know, this thing's like completely intact, you know, with all the original knobs. It's even got, you know, it's even got the tube covers here. Some JJs. They look fairly new. I wonder if somebody was messing with this not too long ago. And some markings on the tube there, like they were run through a tube tester. Speaking of that, hey, we got one done there. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe this thing works. I didn't plug it in. I'm gonna change this cord before I do anything, before I even try to plug it in. So we'll flip it over and see what's waiting on the underside for us. Well, this side looks like an absolute rat's nest, but I am excited to see that it doesn't look like it's been monkeyed with very much. Doesn't look like hardly anything has been done to it. Here's a piece of wood actually. So no wood in the cabinet. We don't need to construct that out of wood, but what we do need is we need real wood down here to keep the chassis in the fiberboard cabinet. Well, at least they did that much. That's okay. Doesn't look like anybody really did anything in here. We do have a few new caps here, which if I had to guess, these are probably bypass caps for the cathode bypass caps. Doesn't look like anything else has been done. Let's see. Got these big fat cables here. Looks like they're shielded cables. That's funky. Those look like almost spark plug wires, are so ginormous. And then we got a carbon film resistor there that's been replaced. All these caps, I'm guessing these are original because they look ancient and they're cardboard. So it's hard to believe this thing would have been working, but I don't know. Well, maybe well, it probably does not work anymore. Look at that. Somebody was trying to grill some hamburgers in this thing. That thing is just absolutely charred. We'll have to get in there and rewire all that. Oh, that's a mess. It even burned all the way up on the capacitor here. Oh, look at that thing. It's doing the old log roll on us. Well, it was on fire, so it was, you know, stop, drop, and roll. That makes sense, right? Okay, so oh, that'll be fun, getting way down in there. But it doesn't look like too many people were in here, so these being replaced, and then just a resistor or two. This fuse holder's definitely been replaced. That's definitely a newer style. A little bend in it there. It looks like we got a little bend in it down here too. It's a little wonky down in there. But first project is going to be getting rid of this the kill you cord, and getting rid of the ground switch. That's what that is, yeah. So we'll eliminate the ground switch. What is a standby? And we'll get this stuff wired up properly, so at least it's safe to work on. Then do these caps and probably just replace that entire socket. Maybe. We'll see. If the socket's still okay, maybe I'll just leave the socket. I'd like to leave the original sockets in it. Not that that kind of stuff matters to me, but it might matter to somebody. If it was up to me, I would just throw some new belt and sockets in there, but we'll try to preserve what's original if it's not totally baked away. That Bakelite, if it gets baked hot enough, kind of just turns into crumblies. Okay, well, I know where I need to start, so we'll kind of start digging away at this stuff. Okay, out in the garage now. I'm gonna get this stuff cleaned up with, I got a little bit of Windex and some degreaser, kind of a mixture there. Nothing too harsh, because we certainly don't want to ruin the silk screen, but got to get the gunk off of this thing. If nothing else, I want to get rid of the mold that's on this handle, and there's a little bit of mold inside here. And I can already feel my lungs burning like that tube socket. So, gonna get on that, get this cleaned up, and we'll get back with you and show you the progress. Maybe get some of this grime off of here. I don't know how much is going to come off, but you know, most of this, it looks like this thing was gigged a lot, but probably not. It probably just sat in somebody's basement or garage, and it was just a workbench for years. Someone putting tools on it, moving it around, and it probably never really even got played. That's just the way these old things are. They were kind of, you know, like I got a lot of crap just laying around the garage that I never use, and it just gets moved around, and I use it once every 10 years or something. Hey Remy, what you doing? Yeah, nothing. Yeah, okay. Okay, start getting in on this, and we'll show you the progress here shortly. Making a little bit of progress. I got the handle off, and boy, those things were stuck on with so much gunk and goop. The you know, the caps here have to pop off of this metal piece, but there was so much gunk. It took a lot to get those off of there, but they're off now. And I cleaned up to about here. Not sure if you can tell or not, but yeah, it's looking a little bit better. So get this cleaned up and see what happens there. As you can see, it's a little bit cleaner, not that much better, but at least most of the sticky goop and gump is off of it now. It doesn't look fantastic, but it's certainly a little bit better. So I was over here, now that I got these power tube sockets out, I can see here that this socket is pretty bad. Not quite a foobar situation, but it is time for a replacement. Now, should I do the right thing and replace them all? This one here has been replaced. Or do I just replace this one and leave these two original ones alone? I don't know. I guess I'll see once I get in there. I did notice that the date code on the pots, this one, let's see if I can get my phone to zoom in on that. You can see on the left side of the pot here, we got number 137. That's the CTS number. So then next to that is 63, which would be our date code. So this could be a 63, a 64. Who knows how long those parts were laying around? You know, I mean, it could be all the way up to a 66. The internet shows that these were made between 63 and 66. And of course, the internet never lies, so that must be accurate. I hope that this reverb unit works, because I don't know how I would repair that or even find something to fit into that tiny little space. So at some point here, we'll get that out and take a look at the condition of it. The spring is intact, which is nice. And looks like there's a piece of fishing line or string or something holding the spring in place. I don't know. We'll get to that shortly. Oh, I should probably look at these values here and get that on my parts list. I gotta place an order for all these parts. I better not forget about this one. Alrighty. I guess the next thing, I'll get these tubes out, start cleaning all this up. Back down here in the shop, I got to unsolder the wires for the reverb tank. And while I'm down here, I think we're gonna part ways with this old power cord, because I'm tired of tangling it up. And so say goodbye. Alrighty. As soon as my soldering iron heats up, get these unsoldered, and then we'll start cleaning up the chassis. So it looks like the only thing holding this reverb tank in is just these two nuts up here. Old squeaky there, like an old mattress. And there we have it. And looks like duct tape is what was used to hold this thing together. I don't know, is that, you suppose that's factory, that duct tape? I don't know. You tell me. So the spring is intact. That's a good thing. And we got, it's like a paper insulation there at the end. Kind of holds that. So what, that goes up inside there like that. I don't know. See, there's no insulation on this little transducer thingamabobber. I don't know if that's going to work. I guess we'll find out. I'm going to have to do some research on this thing. But I don't know. hard to imagine this thing's even going to work. But I guess where there's a will, there's a way. So I'll see if I can rectify this somehow. Yeah, nice and spiffy now. There's still a little bit I gotta do. It's hard to get back in there with the transformer in a way, so I'm gonna take the controls off the front panel here and kind of tilt it forward so I can get back in there. But otherwise, it cleaned up really nice. It's prepared for surgery. So now I'm gonna tackle the front panel. So I guess we can do this kind of as like a before. Not sure how well it'll show up because the lighting in here isn't real great. Well, I'm surprised the knobs came off as nice as they did. That was pretty nice. Why is my, this thing is just kind of going like a sepia color on me. Anyway, so it's kind of be like the before and after here. The lighting in here is not real great, but you can see it is pretty dingy. Well, it's getting there. It certainly isn't perfect, but better than it was. Now I'm going to turn my attention to these knobs. And I think the way to do this is maybe with a toothbrush. But look at the mold. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I know everybody loves these before and after shots, so you can see these are cleaning up really, really good. With this front panel partially disconnected here, now I can get in, I can clean up the rest of this stuff here. And looks like we had a mouse in the house at one point chewing up on our wires here. Luckily for me, he was probably evicted at some point in time. And we don't have a carcass stuck back in here anywhere. So I can get in here now and I can spray all these pots, and then I can turn my attention to the inside. Okay, back down in the workshop now. Pretty much done cleaning up the chassis. And it looks one heck of a lot better. At least got most of the grime and gunk off of there. So I got 4 new sockets, because these ones are in really bad shape. So unfortunately I had to order them. I didn't have, all I have on hand are these Belton Michael-X type sockets, and I got some ceramic style, but what I had to get were some of these vintage looking kind of sockets. They almost have the same look to them, so that'll be nice. At least they'll look correct. They have a smaller diameter across the face here in comparison to like the Belton style. See, the Belton's a good bit larger. So I got 4 of these. I'm going to replace all these sockets, and I got to remove all this to get in there, and all this stuff. Yeah, there we go. Got 1 done. 3 to go. Yeah, this is proving to be a little bit tricky with these sockets so deep down in here. Got 1 done here. I just got to do these 3. But I got to get these old rivets out, because these sockets are not put in with screws and nuts. They're riveted in, so, and then they come out pretty easily. Just like that. And you can pull the rivet off your drill bit there. Just try not to drill into the wires. That's pretty much it for that. Not too difficult. The only reason I'm doing it from this side, it'd be easier to do it from the other side, but I got all this stuff up here and I've got this piece of aluminum, so I can't flip it over now. I should have done this before I started, but I wasn't thinking ahead. So, and this piece of aluminum, I don't want to bend it down and bend it back up, because a couple more times and this thing's probably going to snap off. So, yeah, we're just doing it this way. It'd be better to do it the other way and not have all the, you know, the dust from drilling these going all through here, but that's what a can of compressed air will come in handy for. Blow all that crap out of here. Well, I got 2 down and 2 to go. Probably end this about an hour at this point on these sockets. It's taking a little bit of time, but gotta cut and strip the wires. Some of them are corroded, so I've been using a little sandpaper to clean up the wires so that the solder will take to them. A little burn on the chassis there. Finally, all four sockets are in there after, maybe 2.5, probably 2 or 2.5 hours of agonizing finger contortionism. Nothing like working in a tight space there. But it's all done. The wires and solder joints all look really good, so shouldn't be any issues for a long time on this amp. I added these metal oxide resistors here as kind of as an upgrade to the old carbon comp that they used to use. You can even see this one here. If you can see that on the camera, it's actually all bulged out in the center there. And a lot of them are just like almost to the point of just crumbling. So this will certainly make it a little more reliable and more robust. But now what I'm going to do is focus my attention to these filter caps here, get all this stuff kind of flopped back over into place, and get these filter caps on, and then I think probably at that point I can get some power rolling in here and see if this thing works. So I haven't yet started on the capacitors. I decided I would put in the three-prong cord first here, so we have a safety ground. And I ran that over here and we got a good locking nut on there. So that way we got at least a safe amplifier, if nothing else. And I've got all the wires running along the edge of the chassis here to the fuse holder, and then over to the power switch, and then down to the transformer. And we've eliminated the ground switch since we no longer have to worry about that. So now I can get in here and I can start working on doing these capacitors, and then hopefully get this thing fired up. So she's coming along nicely. So I got the filter caps put in here. These are our main filter caps. Also changed out these mustard caps over here. Get rid of this old wax cap. That's long past its expiration date, so got rid of that. Put in new rectifier diodes here. And now I'm going to turn my attention to this can cap that's sitting over here. And I'm basically just what I'm going to do is add some capacitors inside here. I'm not going to take the can cap out. I'll just attach them inside here to handle I'm sure this is the filtering for the preamp over here. So I'll get that done, and then I can fire this thing up, hopefully. Okay, so I got this nice little conglomerate of filter caps piled together here, just kind of stuffed over. And I'll just put a little silicone glue on there to hold that down. And then I'll cover this with some silicone glue over these terminals in case it would come loose. But that'll work fine. I got a little zip tie around there just to hold them together. And that's really all we need. So that's kind of, I don't know, you could say it's not really the correct way to do it, but I don't have the can cap that's gonna fit this chassis properly, so at least this way it still looks factory from the outside, and this isn't going to change the amp in any way in terms of drilling holes and ruining it in that manner. So I'm gonna do an idiot check real quick, and then I think I'm ready to crank this thing up. And hopefully we'll hear some rock and roll noise and no fire and brimstone, no sparklers and fireworks, and it'll just crank right up and be absolutely perfect. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for anyway. So we'll see here just shortly. Tubes are all in, and believe it or not, this thing actually fired up and it's actually working. Both channels are actually working as well, which is just fantastic. An amp is fairly quiet. It's not too buzzy and noisy. I'll plug it in and do like an audio video demonstration of it here in a little bit once I get everything else completed. But for right now, I'm going to turn my attention to this reverb tank. This lovely kind of Twinkie shaped reverb tank. They should have painted it yellow. What came first, this amp or the Twinkie? Probably the Twinkie. So I'm going to put this in there. Hopefully it works. If not, I'm going to have to untape it and probably open it up and see what's going on. But I'll get that put in, see if we got any reverberation action. And then after that, try and get the cab glued together, get the amp in the cabinet. Give me a drum roll. Ta-da, look at that. Feast your eyes on this beauty. So it's all finished up now. I got that tank back together. Cabinets cleaned up and glued together. There was a big crack here, so I got that glued back together now. I think this cabinet at this point is more or less for looks. I don't think I would go carrying this thing by the handle, even though, yes, it can be picked up with the handle. I don't think I would pick it up that way. I could just see this seam blowing out, this top peeling off, and the amp just ascending to its death. So if this was my amp and I was going to gig with it, I think I would build a new cabinet out of wood, tool exit with something that would kind of looks like this. But it's not my amp, so that is for someone else to do. But yeah, the amp is up and working. It sounds great. So let's do some audio demonstrations of this awesome Silvertone amp. Okay, so just quickly to give you an idea of what's going on here. So this amp has two output sections here. So we are using both output sections. So we got two output cables, and originally it would have been about 2.5 ohms per cabinet. I don't have cabinets that are 2.5 ohms, so I'm going to use it 4 ohms. So we have one line comes down to this line 6 cabinet, and that's just got some Celestians in it. And then we're running another one to this 4 ohm iron horse cabinet, and that's got two 12-inch speakers in it. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up for this Silvertone video. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, comment. You know, leave a, even if it's a stupid comment, I don't care. Tell me what color your dog is, you know, or what your dog's name is. What's the color of your bathroom walls? I don't care. Leave a comment, put something down there, and I'll try and get some more videos. I got tons of amps, always working on amps, building amps, so I'll try and get some more videos up. In the meantime, have a good one. We'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.